I'm JF.
And I'm Paul. We're going to share with you some thoughts on our short turns, our long turns and some free skiing with a few exercises and progressions that might help you out.
We put a lot of effort into this video, so obviously if you're watching it, we appreciate your support in purchasing the video, and hopefully we'll get to see you out in the slope someday.
We hope you'll have as much fun watching this video as we've had filming it, and we hope to ski with you soon. Enjoy!
Hi, my name's Paul Lorenz. I'm 29 years old. I'm from Toowoomba, Queensland, where I grew up. I live in Jindabyne. I've been teaching skiing since I was 16. My first season was in 2002. Since then, I've done 24 seasons around the globe. I'm certified in Australia. I'm an APSI examiner, level 4 examiner. I'm an interski team member. And I'm also certified in Canada. I'm a CSIA 3 and CSCF 2. I also have certification in Japan with my IQ level, and I've also taught skiing in America and Austria as well.
So short turns really excite me. I think it's really interesting seeing the playfulness and the energy in short turns. You know, this is the rebound that comes from doing short turns is something that is very exciting. I think the people that are able to put the ski on the edge and use the energy from the snow to accelerate across the hill is something that's very visually appealing and is also a lot of fun to do. So I think the rebound is something that everyone feels when they're doing the short turns, and that's the feeling of the skis jetting across the hill, and if it's uncontrolled it can leave you ending up in the back seat or on your back even at times. So something that's very important to me and what I see in very good skiers is their pressure management, so their ability to create a lot of energy and a lot of pressure through the turn, but then through the use of the extension or retraction in their legs, be able to manage that pressure and you know, manipulate it so that they can put it into the new turn or move their center of mass across the hill as they need to. So what I've been playing around with a lot in the last year or so is just the height of my center of mass. I'm getting to the point where I can get my legs away from me and the skis on edge to create a lot of rebound, and it's what happens through the transition that I'm really playing with. And I've noticed that over the last year or so my center of mass has gotten a lot lower. So I'm trying to find through the first few turns the height of my hip when my legs are out to the side, and from that point trying to keep that height the same and feel a real softening of the legs when that pressure pushes on my skis. Now, the important thing that I feel when I do that is that if I soften the leg too quickly or I pull the leg back, then it doesn't push my center of mass across the hill, and that loses the excitement. So what I'm trying to do is time it correctly so that the pressure that pushes on my skis pushes my center of mass across the hill, and as that happens I'm timing the retraction or the softening so that I don't then get jetted onto my back. So I guess a bit of the thought process for me when I'm doing short turns is kind of similar sensation or thought process to when one's jumping on a trampoline. So I feel like when the legs are extending out to the side, that's where, you know, the trampoline mat is pressing in, and as the skis start to, you know, go out onto the edge and the pressure push back against the ski, that's where I feel like the trampoline is then releasing you up into the air or across the hill. So it's the timing is critical. If you're jumping on the trampoline and as the trampoline pushes you into the air, you absorb all your legs, then you're not going to go very high. And there's a fine line between keeping it strong and getting shot up into the air and then completely retracting so that you don't leave the mat. And that's something that I'm playing around with a lot, so that I can, like I said, get the energy across the hill, but not so much that I'm out of control. So when I look down the run and I start doing short turns, I often start to visualize that trampoline effect. So if I was to think about setting trampolines at a 45-degree angle down the hill, and I guess the feeling is if I'm kind of jumping from one trampoline to the next one, and those trampolines would be set up in the fall line. So I'm really hitting the trampoline from one fall line into the next fall line, and what I'm doing between that is trying to manage the amount of rebound that I can by shortening my leg and extending it out to the other side to the next trampoline, so that I can link these short turns down the hill. So one thing that I've been really working with to I guess help what I'm talking about is an exaggerated extension retraction turn in like a steered short or medium, just to get the feeling of the range. So when you do this exercise, it's interesting because it is exaggerated, so there is a lot of up motion and you do go down too far, but the purpose of it is to really feel, like I said, the range of the legs getting to the longest point and then getting to the shortest point. And I think when you're doing short turns, depending on the speed and the amount of pressure, your legs will move through that whole range, just like in a mogul or in this exercise. Thing that I've found to be very important is the ability to turn the foot and lower leg as separately from the leg. So the leg can turn from the upper leg, the femur inside the hip socket, as we all know, but turning the lower leg I think is key when you start to get into these lower positions. And I want to be specific because I don't want people to go out and start turning their foot and taking the ski off the edge and having all the bad things happen that we know can happen. I'm more talking specifically that through the completion and transition, as the legs are softening and you're getting into a very bent position where the knee starts to get into almost 90 degrees, it then becomes difficult to turn just with the upper leg. Any sort of turning with the upper leg results in more of a exaggerated edging movement and not so much a twisting or turning on the ski. So what I'm talking about with the foot turning is critical through the completion of the turn. So I feel that when I'm in the fall line and my leg's long and the pressure's pushing against the base of the ski, for the leg or for the ski to continue turning across the hill and back underneath me, it's difficult for me to continue turning the upper leg. I feel that I can only turn it so far before my hip comes around, and then specifically as I shorten the leg, it actually blocks my ability to continue turning my leg without just rolling the knee in further. So from here I feel this is where the foot turning comes into play. So to allow the ski to continue turning across the hill, that's where I have to start to engage a little bit of this move. And you'll see that yes, it does take the ski off the edge, but through the transition, that's what I'm hoping to do. So this is turning across this way, and then that allows the ski to then engage the new edge into the new turn. So I think it's okay to see this foot turning, and I think that's something that's absolutely critical when you start to get into these lower positions and absorb as much as I'm trying to do. Another exercise that I've used to help me with this idea of foot turning is just trying to do some short turns or some, I guess some pivot slips, but from a very low position. So by low I mean that the knee is almost at 90 degrees or at 90 degrees, and this blocks the leg from turning, because from this position the leg will turn and move the knee in and put the ski on edge, which we don't want here. So for me to turn the skis from side to side, the turning or twisting has to come from the lower leg or the foot. So this gives you a little bit of an insight into some of the things that I'm thinking about at this point in my skiing. So I hope you can try them, and I hope it helps you with your short turns.
Hi, my name is Ray McGlashan. I'm 28 years old and I am certified in Australia and America. I'm APSI level 4 and PSI level 3, and I'm also part of the Interski team for Australia. I'm a trainer examiner in Australia also, and we are here in Kaprun to do a little ski demonstration video and instructional video for you guys that I hope you guys like it a lot. I started skiing when I was 3, and thanks to my dad I'm here now with the passion to share with you guys. short turn involves is basically the combination of power and movement, flow and aggression down the hill with discipline and technique. I like the combination of discipline and movement, and basically what I mean by movement is the flow from turn to turn where there's no static points. So the movement comes from the legs, and I'm trying to get early edge with the legs and have a short pressure phase, and this is going to allow the skis to rebound back up underneath me. And with this rebound I soften the legs and I let them spring back and engage early edge on the other side, and this is something that I like to do, and I think it's a fun way to ski, and it involves a lot of range of movement throughout the whole body. Personally, in my short turn, I'm really trying to have hip discipline. So how I get discipline is by a good hip position. And for me, a good hip position involves having the hip relatively level and facing somewhat down the hill the whole time in a short turn. This will help stabilize my upper body and hopefully free up my legs to move underneath me. So one of the things that I like to do, and an exercise that I like to practice specifically for my short turns, is called an outrigger. And basically I have two things that I focus in on this turn. And the first part that I focus on is the early edging. So as my foot tracks away from me, I really try and make sure that I'm rolling onto the arch of the foot and letting the ski engage. And the second part of the outrigger exercise I like to really focus on is the absorption phase, so where I would be transitioning in a normal turn. As my legs all the way out to the side on a high edge angle, I feel the pressure build up underneath the arch of my foot, and as the ski starts tracking back towards me, I let my knee come up to my chest, and this is what I really focus on to get a smooth transition. Another exercise I like using is a stationary exercise, and basically what this exercise is used for is to gain range of movement in the hip for better edging and better leg turning. So what I'm trying to do in this exercise is keep my sitting bones on the seat, putting my feet out to the side, rolling onto my arch and lifting up my inside hip. So the next part of this is to roll the knees into the turn a little bit, and this is going to be a stretch used for stretching out the inside of your leg and through the hip here. You should be able to feel it down through the groin, and this is going to help with the range of movement for edging at the top of the turn and through the turn. So what I like to do is I like to roll on and roll off, roll on and roll off. While doing this, you can see that the hip is stationary and it doesn't move because it's on a seat. And if you feel like it's coming off the seat on either side, then that means that you're moving your hip. So once you're settled in that position, you should keep in that same position and let the knees roll back and forth, and you should be able to feel the stretch. So another element to this exercise is to make sure you watch yourself in the mirror do this. So you can set up a seat in front of the mirror and watch yourself do these movements. The key to this is to make sure that you keep this position that looks very similar to when you're skiing. So rolling the knees back and forth, you'll be able to see if your hip's moving or if your upper body's moving, and making sure that you ingrain it to both sides, moving from one side to the other, so that you can practice moving in and out of this position. So there's a few exercises. I hope this helps you guys get your short turns up to the next level. Thanks.
Bonjour, I'm JF Beaulieu. I'm working at Mont Saint Anne as a ski school director in Quebec, Canada. I also work for a Rookie Academy ski instructor training program in Mont Saint Anne in Canada and also in New Zealand. I'm a CSIA Level 4 examiner, CSCF Level 3 coach. I also hold my French full cert certification. I've also been involved in the last 2 Interski Congress and in the coaching staff for our CSIA High Performance Ski Team. I'm here in beautiful Cap Run with Paul Lorenz and Riley McGlashan. I hope that you're really gonna like what we shot during those 8 days together, and I hope to ski with you soon. Something I look for in a good short turn is the quality of the impulse. It's if the impulse has a good quality, the skier will be able to spread the pressure from start to finish on the outside ski in order to create maximum deflection for the situation. So the element I work on in order to have a good impulse, first of all, is having the pressure building up on the proper spot under the foot. So I realized that sometimes I have a tendency to be a little bit on the front of the boot. So I've been playing with a lot this year, feeling a little bit more some heel anchoring. And speaking with, I had some great discussion with Tom Gelly from Australia, and he was talking to me that the having the heel anchored will enable you to engage all the posterior chain in the body and will assist and strengthen the steering out. So if I build the pressure and I anchor the heel when I ski, this is the first element of the recipe to ski in suspension versus skiing in compression. If I do have the load building up too far forward on the foot, as soon as the pressure will build up, I'll end up collapsing and skiing in compression, which won't give me the shape I'm looking for. So if you go in a gym and you have a coach who's supervising you while you're doing squats, the first thing he's going to tell you is maintain the heel anchored in order to have proper movements and to keep the posterior chain engaged. So again, that heel anchoring will enable me to have that posterior chain working for me. One of the elements that I've been playing with is if the pressure build up at the heel level, I will be able to use my glutes a little bit more. And those glutes is kind of the rudder of your steering. It protects or prevents me from oversteering, if you wish. So if I want to use the outside leg effectively, I definitely want to have some engagement with the glutes in order to power the steering. So if I do have the pressure building up on the proper spot under the foot, I will end up being able skiing in suspension, meaning that I won't get my outside leg shortening when the pressure will build up. So I'll be able to keep a little bit more length on the outside leg. If you do keep a little bit more length when the pressure is building up on the outside leg, yes, you have access to the glutes, and also you'll have access to the muscle inside your leg, the adductor muscles, in order to assist the steering process. And one more ingredient in the puzzle, you can see on my YouTube channel, I'm talking a little bit more about this. It's the stabilization of the core. So for sure, if you're anchoring the core properly, you'll be able to use their extremities in order to create some round shape. And for sure, the core is a key part into the steering. So I'm on the top of a run and I'm starting to do a short turn. The first thing I think about is to try to accumulate a little bit of speed in order to have the ski bending to create some direction. Very often I see a lot of people starting a little bit too slow and overturning their short turns. So by doing so, you're using a lot of muscles in order to steer the ski. Versus I try to play it smart. I try to use the speed to my advantage and use the external forces to my advantage in order to generate some deflection across the slope. So if I want to create some acceleration across, all I do is I'm going to point the skis across the line of travel in a way that the load will build up progressive on the outside ski. If the load do build progressive, I'll be able to direct that load effectively. Another cue that I've been playing with a lot for the last year, it's to simply let go, to trust that I'll be able to control and shape my turn regardless what's in front of me. Again, I see a lot of people trying to hold on and overturn the short turn, and it ends up being a series of hockey stops. I like think about letting go, not overturning, and thinking about precision and being smart and really trying to spread that pressure versus physically overturning and powering the turn in the wrong way, if you wish. One drill I've been working with in order to develop short turns is a power plow. The idea with that drill is that you're starting the steering process from an edge versus from a flat ski. And what I want with that drill also is it's impossible to do a power plow bending both legs together. So it promotes a little bit more leg independence. It helps you to feel a little bit more length on the outside leg. And it also, like, I rarely see people doing some power plows over pressing the front of the boot. So power plow helps me to feel some anchoring at the heel. I might feel the front of the boot at some point, but that will be a result of the pressure building up and the ski bending towards me versus me physically pressing this. So the reason I have the pole pointing in front of me for that power plow is my goal is to create proper movements that will end up creating a cross-under effect where the base will come back underneath the mass. So the pole would simulate a little bit the path of the mass, and my goal is simply to steer the outside ski so my base of support comes back and cross underneath the mass. This is the key. Good short turn is created by good cross-under effect. So this is some cue I work with my power plow in order to develop that. What it feels like when I do it right is it's flowing down the hill versus grinding, and I end up working with the forces and using the right amount of muscular effort, but not too much, where I end up kind of stopping or breaking the turn, if you wish. So the feeling of gliding and letting go is really what I'm after, and this is something I feel in that power plow when that leg is long and the movement is uninterrupted. This is something I really enjoy, feeling that flow down the hill in short turns. So I've talked about the ability just to let go in short turns. So in my warm-ups in the mornings on easy terrain, I do some stuff as simple as an edge roll, and it's just not to, it's to feel a little bit what I can do with those external forces and how much they can deviate me. I have a feel for the snow, I got a feel for my equipment, for physically if I feel in shape or not. But this is, to me, the basic. It's step number one. Once I have that, then I'm gonna start playing a little bit with leg length game in my edge roll. And ultimately I'll start trying to mix a little bit of pivoting and edging and starting to steer a little bit my rollerblade turns, if you wish. But for sure the goal is to always keep that flow, keep the motion uninterrupted. This is key.
Hey, my name is Fabian Stiepel. I'm originally from Garmisch-Partenkirchen, Germany. Now I'm bootfitting in Kaprun, Austria. I used to work for Technica Nordica 5 years as World Cup bootfitter. After that, 1 year for Dalbello ski boots as bootfitter. In between, I spent a year in Aspen, Colorado and Truckee, California as a start house. I used to work with racers like Manfred Pranger, Marcel Hirscher, Nicole Hosp, Victoria Ravensburg, and many, many more. And now I'm here mainly working together with ski instructors and junior athletes. That's 2 degrees at the bottom, and the top looks like 5 degrees.
Shit, man.
Or just my.
I think I need more.
So that boot is 3 degrees out. Exactly 3 degrees out.
So that might explain why I cannot balance.
Yeah, that's how we check. It's already 3 degree canting, and it's enormous, it's extreme. So that's why I would not do more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So left boot is 2 millimeters higher. Do that. Huh? Start playing with those cuff extensions up here.
Yeah.
Then we can just try it just with one piece in. Then we can also do the extreme way and just put 2 in. 2 in here.
Oh yeah.
So this will like a little quicker, or a little bit more pressure there.
Yeah.
Out.
I think if you put 5 mil in my boot, I'm just gonna have to redo the whole, those bones are not gonna be like on the same spot, and I'm gonna suffer.
We'll just go small steps up and then.
Yeah.
Det har vi wahrscheinlich komplett nicht.
Welcome guys. Good evening.
Die haben wir wahrscheinlich komplett durch.
So my main goal in the long term is to get enough edge to feel the ski push back and spring me across the hill, and I really love this sensation. So I view the Pure Carve long term in two phases, a transition phase and a shaping phase. The shaping phase consists of standing on the outside ski or balancing against the outside ski all the way through to the end, and what that entails is edging the ski as much as you can until you want to transition into the new turn. The transition basically is just the edge change, changing from one set of edges to the other set of edges, and then the shape begins for the next turn. So at the top of the turn I really try and bounce over the outside ski, and from there I'm going to kind of basically increase the edge while maintaining the weight of the outside ski. A little cue that I like to do is touch the outside hand down to the outside of the turn, or the outside pole, and that will set up my shoulder over the outside foot, and that generally lets me bounce over the outside ski early. So as my leg extends away from me while maintaining balance over the outside ski and I'm increasing edge, I'm trying to aim at the fall line to have the most amount of edge. And another little cue that I like to have is trying to shorten the inside leg to bring it up to the chest. So as I'm shortening the inside leg, I'm really trying to make sure that the balance on the outside foot is driving through the arch, through the whole arch of the foot, and that is where I get the power from. So when I start feeling the ski pushing back hard, I try and soften my outside leg and stay low in the transition. This will enable me to manage the pressure really well and also be able to get a lot of edge at the top of the next turn. The drill I like to start off with is a traverse, an edge lock traverse basically. So what I try and do in the edge lock traverse is lift up the inside ski, so my outside ski is pure carving, and from there I try and touch my outside pole to the ground. So as I start off across the hill, I'm trying to balance on the downhill ski. So if I lift up the inside ski, that means that I'm balanced on the downhill ski. And how I do that is by tipping the shoulders down the hill and touching the pole. And a pole is an external cue for me to basically get in an angulated position. So the reason I do this exercise is to feel the right amount of angulation for long turn. Once I've lifted up my inside ski and I'm balanced over my outside ski, this is the most amount of angulation I need. And from there I can start the edging process. So the next step that I like to do is going into a J-turn, keeping the common theme. Once I've found out how much angulation I need, I'm going to bring that into a J-turn, keeping the pole drill active as well, making sure that I'm touching the outside pole to the ground as an external cue, and I'm pretty much just trying to get as much edge angle as I can to create a very tight J-turn. A very important aspect of this drill is to maintain weight on the outside ski through the whole J. So basically if you've moved onto the inside ski, it means that you've done it too fast or edged too quickly. So once I've got these J turns down, and to link turns I like to do a double pole drag at the transition. So basically what a double pole drag will allow me to do is stay low in the transition, and that's the idea of this exercise. So as I start softening the outside leg to start the new turn, I'm going to make sure that I keep both hands out in front and the tips touching the snow. I hope these tips help with your long turns. So when we talked about short turns, we talked about impulsing the ski properly in order to generate good short turns. In long turns, I focus a little bit more on flowing the ski in order to generate expert long turns. So it all starts with a good transition. So when I finish the turn, I do have my balance on the outside ski. My goal is to release the load from the previous turn in order to protect the trajectory of my center of mass and make sure that that center of mass travels parallel to the ground as much as possible. By doing that, I make sure that I transfer the balance to the new ski in a precise way. So the feeling I have when I do this properly, I feel some bend on the outside ski at the end of the turn, and I literally feel the outside ski unbend. This allows me to unwind naturally. I don't want to precipitate the unwind in this part of the turn. This is super important. The other element I am after, if you compare this, it's a bit the principle of a bow, if you wish. You don't want to let go the arrow all of a sudden. You just want to unbend that bow precise in order to have a little bit more control in your trajectory and in the precision of your next contact on the next outside ski. So in this part of the turn, we see a lot of people who precipitates the release, which cause the center of mass to go perpendicular to the ground, up. And that will also create a loss of trajectory, and for sure the pressure coming late on the new outside ski, and even the skier to be a little bit light on the top of the turn. So by controlling that release in a precise way, I make sure that I'm gonna transfer the power soon on the new ski, and I'm gonna have a precise contact as soon as I start the next turn. So my cue on the release is to simply feel that I'm softening the old outside leg in order to allow the skis to come back to neutral and create that natural unwind. So once I unwind and I have that new contact on the new ski, my goal is to improve that contact as I progress into the turn. So the game plan is critical over here. You want to know how long your arc's gonna be. You want to know how much
you're looking at, how much direction you're looking at, in order to transmit the power to the outside ski in a precise way. So once I have the contact on the new ski, I want to use that contact and I compare it a little bit to a swing. So if you work with a golf pro, he's going to tell you to swing from slow to fast in order to maximize the power of the swing, but also the precision. So it's a bit the same in skiing. I'll feel the contact gentle at the start, and then as I change the direction, the load's going to build up faster and faster on the ski during the winding, during the coiling, and then I'll release this nice and gentle in order to transmit the power to the new ski. So if we come back to that release, the golf pro will ask a slow backswing, if you wish, so which would be equivalent to the change of platform in skiing. So slow backswing and then dynamic swing on the outside ski in order to generate some deflection across the hill. So during that swing or that turn, I feel a little bit of a free fall effect inside the arc, and I control that free fall by the shortening of my inside leg. And because I maintain the length of my outside leg, I build some pressure that will enable me to create some strong direction, strong deflection. So again, as we discussed in short turn, I'm still in long turn trying to work as much as I can with the external forces. So the more my skis are pointing across the direction of travel of the center of mass, the more I'll feel the load building up on the ski. And again, in that pressure phase, in that direction phase, I really want to maintain the length of my outside leg and a little bit more heel anchoring in order to have the forces going through those heels in order to be in suspension. If I do at that point feel the front of the boot a little bit too much, the outside leg is going to get too short, I'm going to end up killing the energy and minimizing the deflection. An exercise I use in order to improve those my long turns, it's a high-speed javelin turn. And this drill helps me to, it promotes an independence of the legs. I end up having a long outside leg in that drill and a shorter inside leg. And another key element is to make sure that I'm really steering the outside ski tip back underneath the inside versus just placing the inside tip over the outside, which would make the steering lazy. Another exercise I use in order to develop the flow in my long turns, it's kind of a running exercise. I try to run down the hill, but I'm kind of running in slow motion, if you wish. And the goal with that drill is to use every muscle possible in order to improve the contact on the ski, just to make sure that I'm not stalling or keeping a fixed position, if you wish. So I really try to be free in all articulations and make sure that my outside leg remains nice and strong as I'm shortening that inside leg when I go down the hill. The element I like about this drill is it's very natural. Very often when I look at instructors training, they tend to do some drills with fixed position and they don't use the full range of motion and all the articulations properly. So by doing this, you really unlock the potential of the skier and you make sure that from the tip of your ears to your toes, you're going to use everything in between in order to improve the contact on that outside ski.
the most exciting thing about the long turn is the speed and the amount of edge angle, and that's something that's very specific to long turns. You know, in the short turns you can't get as high edge angle, so you know, the extreme angles that you can make with the skis and how low you can get, that's something that's very exciting to watch and to do. So there's a couple of things that I'm thinking about or trying to achieve when I'm doing a long turn. One is how to move in correctly so that you can set up the ski on as much edge as possible. And the other part is the transition and trying to stay low. But the point I'm really going to talk about today is more the moving in part. That's the thing I think people struggle with to do well and also stay on the outside ski. So that's what I'm going to talk about. So I think the really important thing when you're moving in to increase the edge angle is the shortening of the inside leg whilst keeping the outside leg strong. The amount that you do this will allow you to move in further, but it's very important that as you do this you feel that there's some sort of force or pressure against the outside ski for you to balance against. If this doesn't happen, you'll end up falling too far to the inside and you'll be balanced over your inside ski. So it's something that's a trigger for me when I'm moving into the turn is actually trying to feel if these are my feet, that my inside ski or foot is actually sliding up the inside of my outside leg, just like this. I find that if I do it like this, it keeps my inside leg out to the side as well, rather than it coming under me as I move in. Once it's under me, I find it's difficult to stay balanced over the outside. Sometimes I end up falling to the inside. So I try not to go too wide this way and try to feel like this softening and sliding up the inside of my outside leg. So as I feel the inside leg is shortening and my center of mass and body is starting to incline, I feel that when you get to the most extreme edge angle or incline the furthest, the last part of the moving in is actually more of a feeling like you're moving down rather than in. I feel that the center of mass or the hips, they move in on an arc. So if that's the ski and the center of mass, the first half of the moving in is lateral and in. The second half is really just from this point down. So at that point I feel like my hips or butt is starting to settle on the rear part of the binding of the inside ski. So once again, it's important that when we start to get into that movement to the inside that's that extreme, the ski needs to be going fast enough and have enough pressure against the outside ski to still maintain balance over that ski. If we start to move in and down, as I just mentioned, you'll end up more on the inside ski if that pressure is not there. The second part that I'm really focused on when we're moving in and the hips are moving through that arc that I just described is discipline of the hip. And what I mean by that is that the hip stays as level as possible. By the hip staying level as it moves in, it allows me to start to create an angle, so that I can maintain the balance against that force pushing against the outside ski. So one of the exercises that really helps me feel the shortening of the inside leg and also the feeling of moving down and onto the back of the inside binding is the outrigger turn. So when I'm doing the outrigger turn, I'm trying to stay as low as possible. I actually start with my butt on the back of the inside ski, and I try to feel like the leg is going long out to the side to the maximum edge angle. And it is a bit of a fake feeling because you've got one leg that's very much out to the side and all of your weight is on the inside ski. But the purpose of it is to really feel where the hip should be in relation to the inside ski, how much the inside leg can bend, and a real feeling of difference in leg length. And the second exercise that really helps me, and this is more on keeping discipline in the hip, is a stalk turn where I lift the inside ski, and you can do this just in a basic parallel. But I'm trying to do more than just lift the inside ski. I'm also trying to pull the inside leg back so that the front of the ski is actually touching or driving into the snow at the front. So when I'm moving in through the arc that I mentioned before, I really feel like the inside leg's shortening, but I'm also pulling it back. If I don't pull it back like that, I feel that the inside ski starts to run forward and it doesn't keep the discipline in my hip and show an angulated position. So one other focus I have when I'm doing this stalk, to maintain the discipline in the hip, I think about lifting the inside glute or inside hip so that it keeps the hip level as I'm lifting the ski. That'll help me show the angulation. So that's a little bit of an insight into what I'm thinking about when I'm performing long turns. I hope this helps and have fun. Thank you for watching.
Hey, my name is JF Boulier. I am from Quebec, Canada, and I am 56 years old. I have my CSIA level 4. I am a level 4 course conductor, and I'm here with Riley and Paul to shoot some skiing.
I'm Riley McGlashan. Did I tell you I'm Riley McGlash? So I'm Riley McGlash. You sit on your seat and then you look yourself in the mirror. Yeah, nice moves.
Hey, my name is JF Boulier, and I like to say, man, day, man.
Hey, man,
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. Hi, I'm Riley McGlashan. I'm 28 years old.
So Riley, can you tell us a little bit what's happening when Paul Lorenz is sleeping?
Well, he doesn't actually snore. He does something a little bit different to snoring. I haven't quite figured out what it is. It's more of like a...
Hey, mate. How's it going, mate? Left my car in the car park.
Hi, I am JF Bulio, and I am going to do a imitation of Paul Lorenz. I parked my car in the car park.
One day, I will get Jeff drunk. Jeff, what would be a good occasion?
Hi. Hi. I'm Ron Mentor.
Hey, give me that camera.
Yes, definitely not now. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Hi, I'm Riley McGlashan. Riley McGlashan. Yeah, Riley McGlashan. I love skiing because it's fun. Matt Damon.
See you, Riley.